get-go.
Just want to start today with a trigger warning disclaimer. This podcast contains descriptions of death and drowning. Hi, I'm Katie Carpenter.
I'm Terry Kovanitz.
We apologize for any and all mistakes today as we begin this episode of Titanic Transcripts.
The witness has been sworn. What is your name?
Alfred Olliver.
How old are you?
28 next 6th of June.
How long have you been a sailor?
I've been a sailor ever since I was 16.
Navy or Merchant Marine?
Both.
How long in the Navy?
7 years.
You were first on duty in the Navy?
I was in the Navy first, and then I came into the Merchant Marine afterwards.
What was your position on the boat?
Quartermaster.
Where were you when the collision occurred?
I was standby quartermaster on the bridge. I'd been relieved from the wheel at 10 o'clock, and I was standby after 10 o'clock. I was running messages and doing various other duties. I was not right on the bridge, I was just entering the bridge. I had just performed an errand, and I was entering the bridge when the collision occurred.
Just state what happened.
When I was doing this bit of duty, I heard 3 bells rung up in the crow's nest, which I knew that it was something ahead, so I looked, but I did not see anything. I happened to be looking at the lights in the standing compass at the time. That was my duty, to look at the lights in the standing compass. And I was trimming them so that they would burn properly. When I heard the report, I looked, but I could not see anything, and I left that and came, and I was just entering on the bridge, just as the shock came. I knew we had touched something.
Just describe what the shock was.
Well, I found out that we had struck an iceberg.
Did you see that iceberg?
Yes, I did, sir.
Describe it.
The iceberg was about the height of the boat deck, if anything, just a little bit higher. It was almost alongside the boat, sir. The top did not touch the side of the boat, but it was almost alongside the boat.
What kind of sound was there?
The sound was like she touched something, a long grinding sound like.
And how long did that sound last?
It did not last many seconds.
How far aft did the grinding sound go?
The grinding sound was before I saw the iceberg. The grinding sound was not when I saw the iceberg.
Oh. Where was the iceberg when you saw it? Abeam or abaft?
Just abaft the bridge when I saw it.
What was the length of it along beside the boat?
That I could not say, the length of the iceberg, because I only saw the top. It was impossible to see the length of the iceberg from where I was standing.
And what was the shape at the top?
The shape was pointed.
But you could not tell how wide it was?
I only saw the tip top of the iceberg.
Did you notice the course of the berg as it passed you?
No, sir. I did not notice the course of the berg as it passed us. It went aft the after part of the ship. I did not see it afterwards because I did not have time to know where it was going.
Do you know whether the wheel was hard a port then?
What I know about the wheel, I was standby to run messages, but what I knew about the helm is hard a port.
Do you mean hard a port or hard a starboard?
I know the orders I heard when I was on the bridge was after we had struck the iceberg. I heard hard a port, and there was the man at the wheel and the officer. The officer was seeing it was carried out right.
What officer was it?
Mr. Moody, the 6th officer, was stationed at the wheelhouse.
And who was the man at the wheel?
Hitchens, a quartermaster.
You did not know whether the helm was put hard a starboard first or not?
No, sir, I do not know that.
But you know it was put hard a port after you got there?
After I got there, yes, sir.
Where was the iceberg, do you think, when the helm was shifted?
The iceberg was away upstern.
And that is when the order hard a port was given?
That is when the order hard a port was given, yes, sir.
Who gave the order?
The 1st officer.
And that order was immediately executed, was it?
Immediately executed, and the 6th officer saw that it was carried out.
How long did the sound continue? Can you tell that?
I cannot say exactly, but I should say it was not many seconds.
Could you tell how far aft the sound continued?
I could not say how far aft, sir, because I do not know where it started and where it finished. I do not know.
You could not tell about that?
No, sir.
Was it 100 feet? Did it rub against the boat behind where you were?
Not behind where it was. It did not, to my knowledge, rub behind where I was. It was before.
You cannot tell, then, for how many feet it rubbed against the boat?
No, sir.
But you think it got away from the boat before the place where you were?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you see this iceberg?
I tell you, sir, I saw the tip top of it.
And what color was it?
It was not white as I expected to see an iceberg. It was kind of a dark blue. It was not white.
Did you see a light?
On any other ship but the Titanic?
Yes.
I saw lights in the boats being displayed by the boats.
I mean, of another boat.
I saw what I thought was a light, but then I could not say whether it was a proper light or whether it was a star.
Did you see this before the ship struck?
No, sir, after we were in the boats.
You did not see it when you were on board the Titanic?
No, I did not.
In what boat did you go down to the water?
Number 5 boat. That was on the starboard side.
In the order in which they were lowered, which was yours?
It was the 3rd on that side.
And who had charge of that boat?
Mr. Pittman, sir.
How many of the crew were there with him?
There was the officer, Mr. Pittman, myself, a sailor, and 2 firemen and 2 stewards.
Oh, 6 in all?
6 in all.
And how many passengers were there in the boat?
When we lowered the boat, there was, I should say I do not know the exact number, but I should say about 40 before we lowered the boat.
Did you have any trouble in lowering the boat?
There were so many people that when I got in the boat, I went to put the plug in, and there were so many people around me, I could not get near the plug to put the plug in. As he was lowering the boat, I implored the passengers to move so that I could put the plug in, so that as soon as they put the boat in the water, I let the tripper go and water came into the boat, but then I forced my way to the plug and I put it in. If it was not for that, the boat would have been swamped.
What position did you have in the boat after you got into the water?
I was rowing, sir, after I let go the tipper.
Was there any rush when you got into the boat?
No, sir, there was not. I helped put the passengers in myself.
Were most of the passengers up on the top deck at that time?
At the time, sir, there were some in other boats.
Was it crowded around there?
No, not so overcrowded.
Were there firemen or stokers up there?
Yes, sir, some, I think.
Did you notice any passengers on the lower decks as you went by?
No, sir. I was busy looking after the safety of the boat.
Would you have seen them if they were there?
No, sir. Not for what I was doing, because I did not look toward the ship.
Were your passengers all women and children?
There were also a few men.
How many do you think about?
I should say there were about 6 or 8 men.
Okay, Mr. Olliver, what was the order in which your boat was unloaded on the Carpathia? Was it the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd? What was it?
It was the 4th or 5th, I think.
Did you get along comfortably in the water?
Yes, sir. It was cold, but we got along comfortably in the water, sir.
Did you hear Pittman give an order to go back to the ship?
Yes, sir.
And what happened?
The women passengers implored him not to go because they reckoned it was not safe.
How far were you away from the ship then?
I should say about 300 yards.
Did Pittman then countermand the order?
Yes, sir. He did not go.
Did only a few of the passengers on board object his going back, or did they all object?
They very nearly all objected.
Did any ask him to go back?
No, sir. Not as I know of.
Would it have been safe to go back?
To my idea, sir, no.
Why not?
I reckon it would have been endangering the lives of the people that we had in the boat already.
In what way? By being sucked down or by persons trying to climb on?
Both, sir.
Which would have been the more serious of the two?
Well, the suction, as I thought, sir.
After the ship was sunk, there could have been no suction, could there?
There could have been none, no, but this was before.
After she had sunk?
We had orders to pull back toward the ship before she sank.
Did you have any orders to pull back after she sank?
No, sir, we did not. We were farther away.
Were there cries and moaning from the place where the boat had sunk?
Yes, it lasted about 10 minutes.
Did it not last longer than that?
No, not to my idea.
Then you were only about 300 yards away?
When the cries were heard, we were farther, but when the ship sank, we were about 300 yards away.
About how far away were you then?
I should say about 500 yards away then.
So far as danger of capsizing is concerned, after the boat had sunk, you could have gone back, could you not?
Yes, sir, we could have gone back.
Were you afraid that the boat would be capsized by persons trying to climb in?
No, sir, I was not afraid.
Who was afraid?
The passengers, the women especially.
Did they voice their fear?
Yes, sir.
Did you see the boat sink?
Well, I cannot say that I saw it right plain, but to my imagination I did, because the lights went out before she went down.
And how did she sink?
She was well down at the head at first, when we got away from her at first, and to my idea she broke forward, and the after part righted itself and made another plunge and went right down. I fancied I saw her black form. It was dark, and I fancied. I saw her black form going that way.
Did she careen over, tip over sideways, or did she go ahead?
She went ahead, like that.
Did you hear explosions?
I heard several little explosions, but it was not such explosions as I expected to hear.
Were these before or after she sank?
Before she sank and while she was sinking.
What did you think those explosions were?
Myself, I thought they were like bulkheads giving in.
Do you know whether the watertight doors were closed or not?
The first officer closed the watertight doors, sir.
When?
On the bridge, just after she struck, and reported to the captain that they were closed. I did hear that myself.
How did you know they were closed?
Because Mr. Murdoch reported, and as I entered the bridge, I saw him about the lever.
Did he have any way of telling whether they were closed or not?
There is a lever on the bridge to close the watertight doors, and he turned the lever over and closed them.
Was there an instrument there to show the doors as they closed? Did you ever see one of those instruments?
No, I never saw one.
With little lights that burn up as each door closes and then go out?
No, sir.
There was no instrument like that on the Titanic?
I did not see that.
Would you have seen it if it had been there?
No doubt I would, sir.
Was there any steam coming out of anywhere except the exhaust pipe?
I did not see any.
Did you hear anybody say that they saw steam coming out?
No, sir.
Were there any alarms or signals given to arouse the passengers on the ship?
I was not down below, sir. I could not say.
Could you have heard them from where you were on the bridge?
No, sir.
Were the engines reversed? Was she backed?
Not whilst I was on the bridge, but whilst on the bridge she went ahead. After she struck, she went half speed ahead.
The engines went half speed ahead, or the ship?
Half speed ahead after she hit the ice.
Who gave the order?
The captain telegraphed half speed ahead.
Had the engines been backing before he did that?
That I could not say, sir.
Did she have much way on?
When?
When he put the engines half speed ahead.
Oh, no, sir. I reckon the ship was almost stopped.
He must have backed the engines then.
He must have done so, unless it was hit in the iceberg, stopped the way of the ship.
You did not hit it squarely, did you?
No, sir. A glancing blow.
If there had been more lifeboats, would there have been any difficulty in getting them out?
No more difficult than what the others were, if they had been the same boats and placed the same way.
Suppose they had been stowed just inboard of the present boats, like the collapsible boats.
Well, the collapsible boats are more trouble the way they are placed to get out than what the others were in their places.
In your opinion, as a sailorman, which would be the more valuable? Lifeboats stowed inboard, 2 rows of lifeboats, or collapsible boats stowed inboard?
I reckon the lifeboat, sir, would be the easiest.
There would have been room for 3 right there side by side, would there not?
The way the collapsible boats were, there was not room for 3.
There was room for 2, was there not?
Yes, sir.
Did the boat gear work all right?
The boat gear worked all right in the boat I went down in.
How many passengers do you think could have been safely lowered in that boat?
I reckon there was enough in that boat for safety. If there had been more, it would have been dangerous.
In what way?
Just too many, sir.
Danger that the boat would break in 2?
Break, sir, and also the rope.
Could the boat have held more after she struck the water?
After she struck the water, yes.
Was there any way of getting more passengers into the boat after she struck the water?
No, sir. I did not see any way to get the passengers in then, and we were told to stand off.
Do you know whether there was any provision in the ship for getting passengers into the boats in this way after the boats were in the water?
I did not see any.
Were there any small rowboats?
No, sir.
Were you told to go toward this light?
No, sir. We were not told to go toward this light.
What officer directed the taking off of your boat?
The first officer, Murdoch.
Was there any stowaway in your boat?
I did not see any.
How high up was the water on the ship when your boat was lowered?
When we were alongside, I could not see because I was busy in the bottom of the boat, and I could not see what was about because I was pretty near suffocated myself doing what I was doing. When we got away from the ship, I should say 25 or 30 yards, I should say the water was about, there. She had sunk between 15 and 20 feet right at the bows.
Did you notice whether her propellers were out of the water or not?
I noticed she was up by the stern, but I did not notice the propellers.
But did you notice she was up by the stern?
Up by the stern, yes, sir.
Did you see the captain ring to the engines to stop?
To stop?
How long did he go ahead half speed?
Not very long, sir.
1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
I could not say the number of minutes because I had messages in the meantime.
But you know he went ahead half speed?
Yes, sir. I know we went ahead half speed.
And then he stopped?
I could not say whether he stopped. The ship was stopped when we took to the boats.
You saw the captain?
I saw the captain.
Where was he and what was he doing?
He was on the bridge. When he first came on the bridge, he asked the first officer what was the matter, and Mr. Murdoch reported, sir, that we had struck an iceberg, and the captain ordered him to have the watertight doors closed, and Mr. Murdoch reported that the watertight doors were closed.
Did you hear him give any other orders?
The captain gave me orders to tell the carpenter to go and take the draft of the water.
And where did you find the carpenter?
Down below, already doing it.
Oh, where down below?
In the working alleyway.
Forward?
It is like forward. It's a forward part of the ship, but it's not right forward.
Did you see any water down there?
No, I did not, sir.
What deck was it on? E deck or F deck?
It was in a place we called the working alleyway.
Is not that right along here, the working alleyway?
It is on the E deck.
Did you see any damage there?
No, I did not, sir.
Nothing displayed?
No, it was about in a line here that I saw the carpenter. He was taking the draft.
And what did he say about the draft?
He says, all right, I'm doing it.
Did he say he had found any water?
He did not tell me.
Did you hear him report anything to the captain?
No, sir, I did not wait for an answer. As soon as I got on the bridge, I had another message.
And what was the other message?
A message to take to the chief engineer.
And what message did you take to the chief engineer?
I cannot say the message. It was on a piece of paper, and the paper was closed.
And where did you find the chief engineer?
Down in the engine room.
And what was he doing?
He was at work down there.
Were the engines running?
The engines were not running. They were stopped.
Did he say anything about any water coming in down there?
I delivered the message, and I waited for an answer. I waited for 2 or 3 minutes. Then he saw me standing, and he asked what I wanted. I said I was waiting for an answer to the message I took him. He told me to take back, to tell the captain that he would get it done as soon as possible.
Do you know what it was?
I did not, sir. The message was on the paper, and I did not see it.
Did you hear any of the engineer officers down there say anything about damage below?
No, sir.
Did you see any stokers come out of the stokeroom?
They were coming out of the stoke rooms along the alleyway.
Were any of the men coming out of the engine room?
I did not see any coming out of the engine room.
Did the men seem to be excited, as if they feared the ship would sink?
No, sir.
The chief engineer did not say anything more to you?
No, sir.
Did you hear any of them talking between themselves down there?
No, sir, I did not, because I was standing apart from them. It is not our place to go and stand and hear what officers are talking about.
I understand, but I thought you might have heard.
No, sir.
Were they talking among themselves?
They were talking as regards to the work, I expect, but I did not take notice what they were saying.
And the lights were all going?
Yes, sir. The lights were going in the engine room, but I believe they opened the watertight door leading to the stokehole, and it looked very black inside there.
Who opened it?
I expect the engineers done it.
And which stokehole?
I cannot say the number of the stokehole, but it is the stokehole next to the engine room.
Did you see them when they opened it?
No, sir. I did not see them when they opened it, but it was open.
Was the door to the stokehole open when you were there in the engine room?
Yes, there was a man went through whilst I was down.
Went through down into the stokehole?
He went through the door that was open.
Was the door shut when you first got down there?
No, sir, it was open.
And it looked black in the stokehole?
In the stokehole, yes, sir.
Did you see any men coming out of there?
I did not see any men coming out of there, no, sir.
You saw a man go in there?
An engineer went in.
You did not know what he went in for?
No, sir.
The electric lights were going in the engine room?
Yes, sir.
You did not think they were going in that stokehole?
No, sir.
What other messages did you carry?
As soon as I came on the bridge, I delivered back the message I was told to deliver to the captain.
What message was that?
That he would get it done as soon as possible, the chief engineer told me, and that he would get it done as soon as possible and return to the captain. As soon as I delivered that message, the chief officer sent me to the boatswain of the ship and told me to tell the boatswain to get the oar lines and uncover the boats and get them ready for lowering, and I done so and came back on the bridge. No sooner did I get to the bridge than the sixth officer told me to go and get the boats list, so that he could muster the men at the boats. I went and got the sailor's boat list and took it to him. Then somebody told me to muster the boats.
That boat list has the names showing where each man is stationed at the boats?
Where each man is stationed at the boats, yes.
Did you muster the men at the boats?
I did not muster the men at the boats. I gave this to Mr. Moody, the sixth officer.
Did he muster the men at the boats?
That I cannot say. I did not see him, but I gave him the list.
And then what did you do?
Then I went to my boat to muster them.
Then you left the ship in the boat in which you were stationed on the boat list?
Stationed on at the boat list, yes.
And you did not run any more messages?
I did not run any more messages.
Were there any of the men in the dynamo room saved, do you know?
I do not know.
None of the engineers were saved?
It's hard to recognize everybody.
You do not know.
No, sir.
What time did your boat get to the water?
I do not know the exact time. I could not say the exact time.
About when was it, do you think?
I should say it was near on 1 o'clock.
You did not hear any orders given when you were down in the engine room about starting any pumps, did you?
No, sir.
Do you know whether any pumps were started?
No, sir, because I do not know anything about anything down in the engine room.
Did you hear any hissing of steam or any noise in that stokehole to which the door was open?
I did not.
Did you see the captain write out this order to the chief engineer?
I did not, sir.
Had he written it out when he gave it to you?
He had it written out when he gave it to me.
In what form as it? Well, it was not inside of an envelope, was it?
No, sir, it was not. It was bent at the corner, and he told me to take that to the engineer.
It was folded and bent at the corner.
Yes, sir.
Was it a form of order that is used?
I think so, sir. I think it was a form of order. I had taken messages like that before, and they were the same orders.
Were you sent to the chief engineer after the carpenter had reported to the captain?
I do not know. I do not know when the carpenter reported to the captain.
You were sent after you had been down to see the carpenter?
Yes, after I'd been down to see the carpenter.
How long after that?
As soon as I got back on the bridge.
Did you hear the pumps operating at all?
No, sir, I did not.
Had you ever been down there before to take a message?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever been in the stokehold before?
Yes, sir.
Was there a light there then?
A faint light, sir.
But there was no faint light there at this time?
No, sir, it was black.
Okay, thank you for your testimony.
Boring.
Oh,
No,
I
it
thought
started.
it was
No,
really
it got really exciting, but that was my first note. It started like a snooze fest. If he asked one more question about the sound, I was going to walk out of this room. Who cares?
Well, that would put me in a position. I was curious how many quartermasters are on board, because I've heard a lot about quartermasters.
Yeah. Well, he's a standby one.
Four
I didn't know we have an understudy. Yeah, that's true. I would feel like it would be 4 as well.
So when he was talking about that he heard him yell hard a port, but other people have said hard a starboard, that means back in the old times there was the tiller was if you said hard a port, it turned you starboard, so that you because that's the way you turn the tiller.
Okay.
But now they're doing away with tillers because they're steamships, so sometimes it means one thing and sometimes it means another thing. And now, like in our time, a port would mean
left,
yeah. But this way it means the other way sometimes, but not
okay.
all the time. So I'm sure it was
confusing.
very, very confusing at the time.
Wait, you mean go into it?
Like old time a port or new a port?
Stage left?
Yeah, so that was just a little wonky.
Yeah, that could get confusing. So he says that he didn't know if it was a light or a star.
Yeah, so mysterious.
First one, yeah, this vision out ahead, very interesting. But I feel like he's the first one to say a star.
True. And it's not they couldn't say it from the boat, but some could.
Yeah.
As they were loading up, but not prior
yes.
to load up. So weird. And the whole to not go back or go back.
Yeah.
It's like he said that the cries lasted about 10 minutes, and it's also varied. But I think in a situation that's intense, different people's time would run at a different pace.
Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, immediately if they're asking me anything about time, I would not know.
So I think they're all telling the truth.
Yeah,
I just think that
it's just their
it's
truth.
Varied because
I'm sure for some people it might have felt longer as well, and then, like, if you ladle on that guilt too, that, and I'm sure it had to be hard to hear and listen to, so. And
then just the whole, on the decks, like, did you see anybody on the lower decks as you went down? And
yeah.
Would you even want to look?
Yeah. Well, I mean, lucky for him, he was at the bottom of the boat trying to do something. But yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like, would you want to look? And then finally, I have a note here, though, that finally someone is at least asking, is there even a way to get more passengers in when you get to the water? Because it seems like, it's been blown over for so long, and we've only had like 2 mentions of Okay, but then once you get down there,
right? Was there any way of getting more passengers into the boat?
Because if you can't lower it safely at full capacity, I mean, understood if the rope's going to break or the boat's going to capsize or, understood. But then there has to be a way to get more people on. And then we've heard a few people ask now, or a few times it's been asked about an alarm, if anybody heard an alarm or,
right.
Because all this, you're right, is just concerning, like, the top and who was up there.
Yes.
And so if you didn't get up there, then that was that.
The lone gunman, there was, like, nobody else has talked about anybody below deck.
Yeah, except for the one who had to fire them away.
Yeah. So he saw people there, but...
And then another just question that angered me was, what number boat were you unloaded on the Carpathia?
Oh, I know.
Like, come on.
Like,
who cares?
That's what I was jotting down in my memoirs right there. Yeah.
And then the water, I know they keep asking about the watertight doors, but it is interesting that there is not really a way of confirming, or that most people didn't have a confirmation, because, I mean, that could be a huge difference or reason why the unsinkable ship sank. Except that then it sounds like he went down. And
but even if they had the light system that got brighter and then went out, you still would question, did it work though, or were the lights just telling a tale?
Exactly.
So...
Yeah, it's that was interesting.
Because it's a big, you're right, it's a big thing.
At least we hear a little bit that he went down, so he did see that one door was open, that they had opened one door, but we don't know. It was open when he went down there, so
but
maybe
he didn't say
close.
there was water coming out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it didn't. Ooh.
Why? And then the guy that went in there, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm sure R.I.P. whoever went into that dark.
Unlit. Don't go, no. Don't go in there.
But maybe he was going in to see why it didn't close or something like that. Who knows?
Or maybe they opened it like he said. He assumed they opened it. I don't know, but...
What do you think was on the message for the engineer?
Well, I don't know, but I'm sure the senator would have checked. And then stood by and listened discreetly to the conversations going down there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I really liked how polite our guy, like how, but it's not our place to be
it would be wrong to
what
do
officers say. Which also, again, everybody's behavior speaks to how shocking the sinking is, because everybody just got right to work. Like he said, captain told me to go tell the carpenter all right, I'm already doing it. Like he was, and when I went down to tell him, he was in the middle of it, and they're all just getting on with their jobs.
They're not questioning each other. Just get on it.
Nobody's yelling and fighting or anything like that. But yeah, I'm sure it's something very benign. But it's such an intrigue.
The mystery, I know.
I didn't open it. It was closed. Well, I didn't open it.
Too bad the senator wasn't there, because he would know. Didn't you even peek a little bit? A little sneaky peek. And again, did it sink intact or did it break?
Yeah. I really like different opinions. I appreciate his description though. That I fancied that I saw it, but it was kind of just black and dark, and so this is what my imagination filled in. I don't know why that really appealed to me, how he described it.
It tweaked my heart. I was like, aw, that he's really doing his best to give. And again, trying to put the plug in the boat. The lifeboat.
goodness.
That it's,
shouldn't they
there's
be
so
in
many
already,
skirts, though.
the plugs?
Well, no, because if it's raining, but when they're preparing it and taking the canvases off and stuff, I think that would be a decent time to put the plugs in.
Yeah, before anybody else gets it. I mean, but at least he was on it. At least it happened.
Not just do it, anytime
on the way down.
Water and you didn't do it, we'll know right away. And because the skirts were big back then.
Yeah.
So you got like 40 people in there.
And then if you don't get the plug in, they start getting wet. Soggy.
That was bizarre.
Yeah, he almost suffocated himself.
And what a busy man.
Yeah, with all the message. Yeah, especially because I had to take this message here and take that message here. I don't have time
even reading the messages. Yeah. I gotta go. There's stuff to do.
Yeah. It's very funny. Good guy, though.
Yes. And then he, when the senator asked if there were any of the men in the dynamo room saved, I don't know what a dynamo room is, so if any of our listeners have
let us know, because it sounds really cool.
Because I'm really intrigued, but I'm
guessing it's electrical and boring, but if it's something cool...
Well, it's a dynamo, so I don't think it would be boring. It would be very dynamic.
Oh, maybe it's the dynamite room.
So, yeah, please, anybody that knows what a dynamo room is, it would be great, because obviously we're not correct. in my opinion.
And then, you keep going because you have a...
No,
I was
think
just going to
I'm
say
done.
it ended, like, we have another... The one thing that I'm not liking about this simultaneous questioning is that they're ending so abruptly, and also feel like, well, we complained about this before, that they waste a lot of questions on nonsense. So I won't give them grief for doing it still, but I just feel like both of our ones so far that we've done in this simultaneous questioning, they just end really abruptly.
Yes, they do. I noticed that too. Well, these guys aren't like primary interviewers, so they don't know how to end.
But it still got pretty juicy, because I was getting really upset the first half. If you asked about the sound again, or when you're unloaded on the Carpathia, I'm like, is this all you're going to talk about?
Yeah, like, there's so many big things going on. And
but how long was the sound?
Yeah, such tiny little detail things that...
Yeah, they just get stuck on them.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, we're looking at it with, like, a lot of hindsight.
Maybe like over 100 years of hindsight. Yeah. So, without their questions, we wouldn't know what we know.
It's true.
So. Okay, that looks like it for today. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Just a note from the readers, we want to thank you guys for listening, and we really value your feedback, so please let us know what you're thinking, either in the comments or at titanictranscripts@gmail.com.